All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that everyone experiences, and that's fear.
Fear, yeah.
We have a really interesting source for this one. It's a YouTube Q&A,
Okay.
and this was sent in from one of you listeners. You know who you are. You
Right.
mentioned in your message that you're all about getting to the core of things quickly, having those aha moments,
hmm
without feeling overwhelmed by too much information.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're diving deep into this Q&A session to see what it can teach us about fear,
Okay,
its impact, and how we can navigate it effectively.
sounds good.
So this is a live Q&A, right? People asking questions about fear.
Yes, it is. It's a great opportunity to tap into those real, raw, everyday concerns that people have about fear. We get to hear directly from the source, so to speak.
Awesome. Let's jump right in. The first thing that really stood out to me was the discussion about what fear actually is. The speaker says, and I'll translate from the original language, fear in itself isn't bad, it's necessary for us. It warns us about danger.
Yeah. It's like our built-in alarm system.
Exactly right. Like, if we didn't have fear, we'd be walking into dangerous situations all the time
Constantly.
without even realizing it.
It's a crucial survival mechanism, that's for sure.
It's essential. And I think we can all agree, we all have that basic fear response that keeps us safe. But
Yeah.
here's the catch. The Q&A gets into how fear can become a problem. The speaker uses these really vivid words. They say, stretched, polluted, spoiled, and manipulated.
Whoa.
That's when fear goes from being helpful to actually hurting us.
That's a really interesting way to put it. It's like the difference between a natural alarm and a false alarm.
Right.
Natural fear is a response to a clear and present danger. But manipulated fear,
Yeah.
that's often rooted in things that aren't even real threats.
It's like fear of things that might happen, or maybe things that happened in the past but aren't happening now.
Exactly. And that's where the issue of control comes in.
Oh, absolutely. The Q&A talks about this, and it's kind of unnerving. The speaker says, fear is a very powerful tool for control in both the physical and the energetic realm.
Well,
So not just like physical control, but control over our thoughts, our energy.
our beliefs, our emotions,
Yeah.
it can really impact how we see the world and how we act in it.
And the speaker makes a point of saying that people who understand this, who want to misuse fear,
Yeah,
they will use it against others. So it's something to be very aware of.
it is. It is. It's like being aware of any other tactic that someone might use to manipulate or control you.
Exactly. Now, there's a question from someone named Rita in this Q&A, and it really stood out to me. She says she has this huge fear of speaking her mind, like a delalabaima pasakiti savanuamona, which is a big fear.
Oh, wow.
She says that she often just goes along with what other people want because if she does express her opinion,
Yeah.
she faces aggression or what she calls an energetic attack, which is a really interesting concept.
That's a powerful image.
It is. And because of this, she shrinks back. She doesn't share her true thoughts and feelings.
You know, that speaks directly to what we were just discussing
It does, doesn't it?
about fear being used to control someone. In this case, Rita's fear is preventing her from expressing her true self.
And it takes away her power.
Exactly. Her power to be authentic, to contribute her unique perspective.
Now, there's this other really interesting concept that comes up. The speaker says, and again, I'm translating, every thought, every dream, every word you speak aloud simultaneously creates something in that energetic space.
So what we think and say actually has an impact on the energy around us.
Yeah.
It's like we're constantly co-creating our reality.
And the speaker goes on to say that fear can be co-created too. Like when someone plants a seed of fear in your mind, it can take root and become a shared reality, especially if it's based on a danger that isn't even real.
I've definitely experienced that. Like when someone tells you to be afraid of something, and even though there's no real evidence, you start to feel that fear anyway.
And then you start to see the world through that lens of fear. It's like wearing a pair of glasses that makes everything look scary.
And as the speaker points out, that kind of fear can lead to loneliness, unhappiness, and a constant sense of danger. It's isolating.
Really isolating. And that's when we start to feel weak, powerless. There's a quote that really captures this. It says, when you're constantly under this kind of fear, you naturally feel weak just from having those fears. As a result, you unintentionally give your power away to others.
To those who seem stronger because they're using fear to control.
Exactly. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. The more we fear, the weaker we become.
And the easier it is for others to manipulate us. This is why it's so important to recognize and challenge those fears, especially the ones that aren't based in reality.
The Q&A talks about this concept of false evidence appearing real. Like when we're afraid, we tend to see things that confirm our fears, even if those things aren't actually threatening.
It's like our fear creates its own evidence.
Right. It feeds itself. And this leads to a really big question that someone in the audience asks. They say, is it worth being afraid of something that doesn't exist in the present moment?
That's a profound question. We often worry about things that might happen in the future, but we forget that the future hasn't happened yet.
And worrying about it in the present can actually make those negative things more likely to happen.
It's like we're creating our own problems before they even exist. Now, there's a really interesting part of the Q&A where they talk about the Grifasi method.
Oh, yeah. I was really fascinated by this.
Me too. It's a different way of looking at and dealing with fear. The speaker kind of contrasts it with other approaches, mentioning that some practitioners might even use fear to keep clients coming back.
Yeah, like almost perpetuating that cycle of fear and dependence.
But the Grifasi method, it emphasizes freeing yourself from fear, ideally in one session.
That's ambitious.
It is.
Yeah.
But they talk about understanding something called the mechanism of interference.
Interference, what does that mean?
Well, they introduce this concept of interferenti, basically. Interferers, which can operate in that energetic realm we've been talking about.
So these interferers could be causing or contributing to our fears.
Potentially. And by understanding how they work, we can clear them out of our energy space.
It's like doing a deep clean on your inner world.
Exactly. And they also mentioned that in the physical world, people can be interferers too. They can use fear for their own benefit, like those therapists who keep clients coming back unnecessarily. So it's about recognizing and removing those influences, whether they're energetic or physical.
And then the conversation shifts to something really relatable. Fear for other people.
Like loved ones, family.
Exactly. Someone asks, is it worth fearing for other people, like children, parents, neighbors, colleagues?
That's a natural thing to worry about.
It is. But the speaker points out something really important. They say, if you have fears and you live life in an unnatural way, you will always energetically transmit that fear to your children. And if you live in fear, they will copy that pattern, and fear will be present in their lives too.
That's powerful.
It is. It suggests that our own fears can actually influence the people around us, especially those who are close to us.
Especially children who are so impressionable.
Absolutely. Now, there's a question about reincarnation that I thought was really interesting. Someone asks, does the fear of being forced to reincarnate against your will actually make it more likely that someone could force you?
Oh, wow. That's a pretty deep question.
It is. It's getting into some pretty profound territory.
And the speaker's response is really direct. They say, if you hold on to that fear, you make yourself weak. If you become weak, you give your power to someone else, and then that someone else might indeed be able to decide for you.
It's like fear creates a vulnerability that can be exploited.
And the speaker goes even further with this idea. They say that even a small fear can attract entities that feed on fear energy.
Really?
Yeah, they say that these entities can actually connect to you through your fear because you've diminished yourself.
It's like we become prey to these fear-feeding entities, and they can then manipulate things to create even more fear. It's a vicious cycle.
It is.
Yeah.
And the speaker uses this really strong analogy to get the point across. They say, don't be an animal, a food source for such entities by living in a state of fear.
Wow. So it's not just about our own well-being, it's about not becoming sustenance for something negative.
That's right. And this leads into a question about fear in dreams. Someone asks, in dreams, does fear come from our subconscious minds, or is it a program from astral parasites trying to get energy?
That's something I've wondered about myself. Nightmares can be so vivid and terrifying.
The speaker clarifies that no matter where the fear in a dream comes from, ultimately, fear is your energy.
Our own energy.
Yes, but they do acknowledge that these entities, these parasites, can manipulate our dreams to make us produce fear, to feed off of it.
So it's like a mix of internal and external factors.
It could be. And then the conversation takes a really interesting turn. They start talking about religion.
Oh, yeah. This was a pretty provocative part of the Q&A.
It was. The speaker states that in religion, everything is based on fear.
They give examples like the fear of sin, the fear of guilt, the fear of divine punishment.
It's a bold statement.
It is. It makes you think about the role fear plays in different belief systems.
Definitely. And whether fear is being used consciously or unconsciously to control people within those systems.
Then there's a question about the connection between conscious and subconscious fear. It's a pretty complex question, but the gist of it is, how do they influence each other?
Like, does conscious fear affect our subconscious and vice versa?
Right. And the speaker talks about the difference between the rational physical part of us and the etheric subliminal part.
So, our conscious mind versus our subconscious energetic self.
Exactly. And they say that while our conscious mind deals with the everyday world, our subconscious is always working in the background, and it can be targeted by these esoteric interferences.
So, fear can come from either part of ourselves.
It can. It arises whenever any part of us senses danger. That danger can be real, like a physical threat.
Or it can be more subtle, like an energetic interference.
And then someone named Beta asks the million-dollar question. Fear is a companion to many. How do you manage or reduce it?
The age-old question.
The speaker gives an answer that at first might seem simple, but it's actually really profound. They say, you are power.
Tu esi Galea.
Yes. And they emphasize that when we truly understand that, when our subconscious grasps it, we can start to unlock ourselves from fear.
It's about reclaiming our power.
Exactly. And they talk about the possibility of sessions, which are like deeper explorations of these issues.
Sessions that can help us understand where our fears are coming from and how to clear them out.
And they provide contact information for anyone who wants to learn more about that.
It's like a path to deeper healing.
It is. And then the conversation circles back to Rita's fear of speaking her mind. They acknowledge that it's a very complex problem.
And they suggest that it might stem from a larger situation where she feels submitted, like she's under someone else's control.
And that subconscious interference could be playing a role in that. It's like her power is being exploited.
Which reinforces that fear and keeps her from speaking up.
It's a really intricate web of factors.
It is. And finally, someone mentions having recurring dreams of exorcism. They want to know what those dreams could mean.
And the speaker says that those kinds of dreams are hard to interpret without a more in-depth exploration, like in a session.
They suggest that those dreams could point to some kind of inner conflict or a feeling of being under a negative influence.
Right. And they encourage the listener to reach out if they want to delve into that further.
It's like a call to explore the deeper layers of their experience.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've seen that fear has a dual nature.
It can protect us, but it can also be used against us.
And that understanding our own power, recognizing when fear is being manipulated, and addressing those deeper subconscious patterns.
Those are all key steps in overcoming fear.
They are. And remember, all of this is coming directly from the Q&A that you, our listener, sent in.
It's a testament to the power of asking questions and seeking answers.
It is. And on that note, here's a final thought to take with you. Reflect on the sources of fear in your own life.
Ask yourself, are these fears truly protecting me in the present moment, or are they rooted in something else?
Maybe they're based on manipulation or a misunderstanding of your own strength. Think about the connection between your beliefs, your thoughts, and the reality you experience.
It's a journey of self-discovery, a path to freedom from fear.
It is. And with that, we'll leave you to continue exploring. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening.